What's up, everybody? We're back.
Hello,
Everybody?
everybody.
Yeah, you forgot that. We're back, whether
I'm
you
trying
like
to
it or
make
not.
a catchphrase here. Relax.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. We're back, so whether you like it or not, back to annoying you guys. And those who are still watching, thank you very much. Those who haven't, thank you very much. It was a
pleasure.
It was a pleasure knowing you guys. So what's up, Art? I know today, nothing too crazy going on, just a few things on the top of our head that we kind of wanted to talk about. But what are we drinking
Pale ale,
first?
Sierra Nevada, good stuff.
Dude, I remember... Okay, so we don't approve of this, and I don't want to incriminate you, but a long time ago, a very long time ago, probably before I should have probably been drinking, probably. I was young, dude, and I remember when we first had our like little instruments and stuff. I always tell the story because it's just fascinating. Every single time, nostalgia. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I still remember you pulling up, and we were gonna play. It was you, me, and George. Yeah, your little brother, whatever. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say names, but anyways, we were gonna play, have a good time. We were young, and me and your brother were gonna go with your older sister to just amusement park. I think to Knott's, right? And you pull up with this, and you're like, "You guys want a beer?" So I felt all cool because you bought a 12-pack. And George was like, "Oh, I mean, your brother was like, oh, but." So, anyways, so we're chilling, and we're listening to music, and then I think I had like one and a half of these, and I just hated. I hated the taste of it, how hoppy it was. Now it's delicious. I remember it was just disgusting, but I couldn't be like, nah, because I was like, I don't want him to think I'm not cool. And so we were just doing it. I think I had one and a half, and I was already feeling it. The next morning, I'm like hungover. I'm like, I'm feeling.
Dude, you must have drank more than
No,
that.
I had like one and a half, dude. I was young. And I remember I was telling your little brother, I was like, dude, I feel weird. He's like, dude, I feel weird too. And then we went to the amusement park, and so yeah, dude, it's crazy. And then I think you
like
finished.
a Sandlot.
Yeah, like
Sandlot. Drink tobacco.
Yeah,
The,
they do that, and But yeah, we were like, oh, and then just throughout the day, it got better. But I didn't realize that was a hangover. So that's the story behind it. So it's got a very endearing and very awesome place in my heart and an awesome time. It's just things were a lot simpler back then.
It's a good beer too.
It's definitely a good beer. So I remember like, where the hell is Chico, California? Now I know.
So anyway, man, what's new? What's going on?
Man, a lot. Everything is new. Everything is always new. Change is always happening. I guess we'll get into it. I've been feeling a little bit uneasy about, my current job situation, just kind of where it's going and stuff like that, right? And I have a buddy who went to college with him, and after college, we ended up having the same job, same manager, awesome, everything's rocking and rolling. And, a few months later, gone. We had to go look for another job, and then he ended up in a not favorable situation as I did, not the best situation, and then boom, we had to get other jobs, and then I had to get another job. Now I'm here, and it feels like, oh my goodness, not again. This is happening again. Right when everything is dandy and sweet, things just flip a switch, and everything is very much constant, like we talk about. So, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why the hell did I go to college for? Did I get bamboozled?
No, dude, you go to college, you get a good job, and you live happily ever after.
Yeah, man.
That's how it works.
I remember when I was telling you, I want to do this, and you're like, nah, dude, you do not want to do that. You want to do this. Remember you told me about that?
You're trying to go for X-ray technician, right?
That, and then I wanted to do accounting.
Oh, accounting. Well, the thing about X-ray technician I recently heard is that it's been automated too. So like that's gonna be gone sooner than later. So at least that is a good thing.
Yeah, dude,
go for that.
And I think at the time you were still finishing your studies and getting your degree. And I remember you hand me over pamphlets and about business, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then you're like, this is actually kind of cool. And then you always had pushed me like, dude, I think you have the personality to do this and stuff. And I was like, no. And then I remember halfway through, I was like, dude, I think I'm going to do sales. He's like, dude, I've been telling you that for the last 4 years or something like that. But yeah, dude. So anyway, I'm having this uneasy feeling about this whole going to school, getting in debt, which I am. Not gonna lie about that. I'm in debt. And it just seems like it hasn't.
Student loan, not in other debt, right?
Oh yeah,
You're talking
student
about
loan, student loan. Yeah, student loan. So student loan debt. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow. Like I said, did I just get bamboozled? Excuse me. And just it keeps happening and occurring. Nothing. Like I was just saying, can I just be somewhere for a couple of years and just get that under my belt? It just feels like there's always constant change and it's revolving. And I think what I do now, especially, is so much more tied into consumerism and traveling and what people do with their money and spend it, which obviously is not going very well right now in that sector, at least for whatever I do. So I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, man, it's a little uneasy, but you know.
But I mean, we're talking about that. You're in the what's the sector called?
Hospitality.
Hospitality, right? And so you sell directly to
Hotels.
and the like, right? But that's what we're talking about, like the whole gig economy, the whole Airbnb. Like it's been taking a lot of business because their IPO is coming out soon. I don't know. I think it's recently because I know did Uber just IPO?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
IPO, initial public offering. They're going public. They're gonna have stock so you can actually buy it if you want.
You can own Uber.
You can own part of Uber and Airbnb.
A very minute, little tiny part, but you can still do it. Minute.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's part of it. I think that's part of what it's affecting it. I mean, I'm sure there's other factors, but I have been reading. Well, we all know that's been growing, the whole gig economy.
Now,
and even though that, I just read today or heard today on the radio, they were talking about how the whole gig economy, it's like people that are working in the gig economy are barely making it. It's been tough for them, but it's still growing. So obviously, in my personal opinion, I think it's just the CEOs who are making the money, right?
Yeah.
As always, and
yeah,
and the employees or people that are temporarily work because they're not actually employees, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like Uber drivers, like they're not making that much. Although I don't know about Airbnb, like people that rent their houses.
What about my buddy I told you that bought a house in Florida? Apparently, it's going well for him. He's renting out to Airbnb or through Airbnb.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I don't with all the fees and stuff. Yeah. I don't know because the Uber drivers at the beginning were also doing well, and then like it just got saturated, and it's just not as easy to make a living off of it, right?
So what do you? Okay, so asking you a question because if you're probably the person that's.
Don't give me too much credit, though.
No. I'm not giving you too much credit, but it's true. I think you are one of the most. Let me finish what I was about to say.
Okay.
You're one of the people in my life that it's at least more in tune with what's actually going on in the economy. Obviously, your livelihood depends on it, and as we've talked before, that's how you make your living. And like I said, you are more in tune.
Which is also very challenging at the moment.
I hope we can talk a little bit about that because people are interested about that always. But anyway, so I mean, just based on this, I know we're just kind of shooting the shits here. Where do you kind of see that going with different companies like Airbnb and Uber and Lyft and now Postmates and stuff like this? These companies that allow you to make a little bit of money just doing it on your side. So the 9 to 5 has almost seemed like it's starting to, for a lot of these millennial kids are like, why do I need a 9 to 5 if I can just do this and have all this other free time, right? How do you feel about that? I mean, where do you kind of see that going into the future? You really think that's going to be something?
The whole point of it is to be, to have your own flexibility, your own hours, which I think it's great from that aspect. But I mean, if it's not paying the bills, then it's not so great.
Get a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But 9 to 5s don't pay the bills nowadays, anyways.
Well, so I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's stuff like the economy, all that stuff is just getting tougher. So I honestly don't know, dude. I don't have the answer.
I wish you had a crystal ball and you'd be like, listen, this is where it's going, dude.
Dude, if I had a crystal ball,
we wouldn't
I'd
be
be
here.
yeah.
Simple as that.
I'd be on an island, my own island, with like what's his name?
Who?
Syrian?
Oh, Dan
Yeah,
Manzurian.
like
Yeah,
Dan
dude.
Syrian. I'd
That
be
guy,
doing that, dude.
dude. I feel like companies just sponsor him, and he's just like making all this money. I don't think it's all gambling.
No, well, at this point, it's not. 'Cause
Yeah, it's yeah.
he's a brand now.
Oh, dude.
So once you become your own brand, then yeah.
I do that. Had 2 heart attacks. Survived 2
Are you
deaths.
serious?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, 2
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's a story on if you guys are listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. There's an episode on him, and it's fantastic. If he's telling half the truth, it's still pretty rad. But yeah, just going again back to the job thing. The thing we're very interested in is personal finance. We do it on our own, and thankfully we've saved a little bit of money. We're not rich by any form of the word, but I feel like we've always had an importance, and we've always had an interest in this, at least, right? It's been important to us in our lives, right? And so I was always told, I came up with the whole narrative of go to college, get a degree, and you're going to be set for life. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, that's kind of the way our fathers, or not my father directly, but our fathers, that's how they did it. Our grandfathers kind of did it that way, or maybe they just did it in manufacturing, and then they had enough money to put their kids through school or whatever that was. But that's not the narrative I'm seeing nowadays. I more and more I see students and family members who are getting accepted, and they always complain about how expensive school is, how expensive, and you're seeing $25,000 a year, and for a simple degree, a liberal arts degree,
Well, that's why Bernie Sanders has gotten a lot of traction to it. He that's what he promises. School should be free, and I understand. I mean, like I understand why people support that. I sympathize with Luckily, I didn't need any student debts, or I didn't get into student debt. Um, but I can see like when I hear people that have thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of student debt, dude, like I can't even comprehend how you're gonna be able to pay that off.
You're not
anytime soon.
You're not.
Especially again, like stuff jobs aren't that great anymore. The whole automation that we've talked about before too, it's not gonna help. So yeah, to me it's crazy. So I understand why Sanders has been getting a lot of traction because of that. Not necessarily that I agree with it, but because the money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, it always does.
Probably from the rich, but I don't know how that's gonna.
They always fight, and as I would.
But yeah, dude. I mean, it's not the same, and the more I read about it, yeah, a degree doesn't really do much unless you're in the whole what do they call it, STEM fields: science, technology, engineering, and math. Any other major for the most part, maybe business too, I think. But most of the rest of the degrees, they're kind of worthless almost. You major in women's studies, for example. I don't know anyone who does that, but anyway, that or what else are some of those ridiculous?
Yeah, degrees.
Yeah, so those, I don't know how people even an English degree. I knew several people where I used to work at my last job had English degrees, and they had not anything to do.
They were pushing buttons.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see why things are getting hard.
It's like we were just talking about it, man. I feel like things can only improve so much, right? Like especially with these large companies and stuff like that, they're always constantly making an effort to show good earnings and stuff like that, and whatever. I don't want to get too technical.
See, and then there's another issue with that. Like when you start looking into that too, and all the laws that have gone into that, it's all just to kind of prove that you're doing better. So then, companies start doing all these weird things that, shady things, to bump their stock up, and they're not necessarily thinking long term. So again, I've worked for very large companies, Fortune 500 companies. Obviously, I wasn't no CEO, I wasn't no officer, I wasn't this high-ranking member, but I still worked for, a Fortune 500 company, a couple of those.
And dude, they were outsourcing jobs out to like South America, India, which that's fine, that's cool. It's creating jobs elsewhere, but those guys aren't paying that much money. I think for whatever you paid one person here in customer service, I think you can pay like 20 people over there, some crazy number like that, right? But when I have to use customer service, I hate it. Like, I'll call because I have to be, I have to call in. I'll hang up on them. So there's really no because they don't understand what's going on here. They don't. They just they've been trained and to do certain things there.
Right.
But it doesn't work. But yeah, guess what? At the end of the year, they showed that they spend less money, and we like we always talk about in life, your personal. So in your personal finance, how do you make more money? One, you work longer hours, or you get another second job, right? So longer hours, or you cut expenses. There's really no other way to make money like that. So companies, they're the same way. They either sell more or they cut expenses. So sometimes the expenses come at the expense of the employees.
Right.
That was wise.
Or just obvious, but
yeah, obvious. But some people might not even, not even see it. So I'm just
no, but yeah, it's definitely like that. It's I don't know, man. It's all these corporations. I mean, obviously that's what they're trying to do. We need a better, government, better president, better, people making laws.
You don't like Trump?
And I don't see that happening, dude. I was listening to, what's her name? The Hawaiian chick?
Yeah, the candidate. Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yeah, man.
She was on The View, right? I mean, I didn't see The View, but I saw a clip.
The clip of
they
her
were
being on
making
there?
fun of all those idiots on The View, all those ladies. Because she's well spoken, she's smart, she has a really good message that just makes logical sense, right? So she was telling her point of view, and then all these like those 4 or 5 idiots, whoever they are,
all women. Not that all women are idiots.
Just
but
ignorantly started attacking her, and saying all this nonsense that you can tell they're not educated. Like they don't know what the hell they're talking about, which. It's funny, but it's also sad because I think that it kind of reflects a lot of what people kind of consume. I mean, that's what they consume. So it's kind of, sad to see that, they can't even educate themselves on they know that she's going to be on their show, and they can't educate themselves on, like identifying what she's saying, if it's right or if there's any merit to it. And it's just kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, it was on Jimmy Dore. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, the Jimmy Dore show. It's on YouTube.
Oh, no.
And he was making fun of them, and it was just, hilarious, just the way he...
No, dude, and you have a point, though, and this is the thing. A lot of these people are social media influencers. A lot of these people are influencers, period, not just social media. So they're pushing out a lot of content and stuff like that that's not necessarily correct. Now, they might have a great personality. They might have a great, charming way of doing it.
No, but I'm talking about, like, network,
Yeah, the network. So that's what I'm saying. It goes back to the whole influence. These people on their own, they're influencers on their own because they have all these, hundreds of thousands of followers. So imagine the messages they're really putting out. Like, listen, not everything's got to be politically correct, like we talk about all the time. But when you don't sit back and educate yourself and actually understand or try to see where people are coming from, you're going to get those kind of responses. You're going to get those kind of messages put out there. And for people who, like to question things, you don't sound that smart. You don't sound that smart. Boy, don't get smart. Then you'll be sad. But, yeah, definitely. So that was just kind of what we had in mind today. Nothing too deep, nothing too crazy. Not that we're trying to be deep or crazy. So
we just wanted to have a beer.
We just really wanted to have a beer and record it. And be guys. Hence, Guy Talk Show. So
I'm already a guy, dude. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I don't ever quite... Listen, listen. We're good. We're not Caitlyn Jenners over here by any sense of the word.
But anyway, yeah, dude. It's just getting tough.
It is. And like I said, whatever.
Well, the thing is, I don't think the average person necessarily sees the severity of it either. Yeah, because they still keep on getting in debt just to continue with the whole debt thing. They continue getting debt unnecessarily, and following these things that people in society, like society, tells them that that's what they should do. And again, like going back to the whole student loan, like there's what $1.5 trillion in debt in student loan. I've heard comments that
44
that's already a bubble and it's gonna pop at some point. Just like the tech bubble happened back in the 90s, just like the real estate happened in the 2000s. So it's something to just keep in mind and consider, and not, obviously this is a consumer economy, so it's going to continue, but just whoever's listening, just kind of think about it. Don't be getting yourself into debt and into unnecessary purchases that don't really matter, because
people don't give a damn what you drive. Seriously, think about that for a second. No one gives a shit what you drive. No one gives a shit where you live. Because guess what? They're not the ones in debt. They're not the ones paying those. And guess what? They're worried about their own debts.
Yeah.
So it's not like they give a shit. Listen, we're not that important to people. Yeah, like that full. I think the only if you're doing it for, you're thinking you're higher class, you're not higher class. Whatever you think you're doing, you're not doing. So the only reason why is that first initial moment where you see somebody with a new car, you're like, oh, you got a new car? Cool. We talk about it for 5 minutes, and then it's gone. I don't care you got a new car.
You just kind of almost have, you're almost obligated to point it out, just because they're your friends or your family, and but do you really care?
Dude, these housewarming parties, do I really gotta come and kiss your ass on how great you're doing that you bought this house? Oh my god,
you got into this debt?
Yeah, like
to
congratulations.
$500,000 debt.
Oh Jesus,
that you're probably gonna refinance and never pay.
Yeah, you're never gonna pay, because that's just the way these mortgages are set up, right?
I mean,
think about it. No one really cares, so do it for yourself. You owe it to yourself. Don't get yourself in debt. Because at the end of the day, you're paying it, and you're not
no, but
showing off to anybody. At least not to me.
I think what people need to kind of stop and think about is not necessarily that, because we all are kind of compelled to prove ourselves, or to whatever. But I think that at least question what you're about to do and what's behind it. Like we talked about the whole real estate before, right? That people just automatically assume that that's part of their life goal, to buy a house, but they don't question any of that. They just compare the whole rent payment and mortgage payment, which again, they're not comparable. So just question, or at least educate yourself more on what more there is to it behind it, because there's usually more to it than people.
Absolutely. Now, I understand that happiness is one of them, trying to prove to yourself certain things. I get it. But there's such a thing called as buyer's remorse. And listen, at the end of the day, if a new car is truly going to make you happy, and you really feel like taking on that is something you want to do, go ahead and do it. That's fine. Because if it's going to make you happy, no one's making you happy but yourself. And so I get it.
Would a car make you happy though? It might make me happy for like when I buy it for a week.
That's where I'm going to go into
next.
Till
all my friends see it. After that, it fades.
Instant gratification. Unless you have a Tesla, because I know a Tesla's an experience supposedly. But anyways, that's what I was going to get into. If that makes you happy, so be it. Let it make you happy. But you know how many people I hear complain about their car note? Oh, if I only didn't. So is it truly making them that happy?
In my opinion, dude, I think most people have their priorities backwards. And again, they go by what society tells them. This is going to make you happy. This is what you need. You need to prove your friends. Even if it's not a conscious thought, it's just like, it's a subconscious thought, right? You do that for that reason. But again, it comes down to not questioning it from the beginning before you do it. And if you did, you realize that, okay, do you really want to pay, $400 a month just to have this new car, plus the extra insurance, because now it's higher because you bought a new car and it's a sports model or whatever it is? Like, I don't want any of that.
I want a truck. But then when I see like what, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, dude.
I'm good. If I can't buy it cash, I can't afford it.
Yeah, man. Just question why you're doing it, why you're doing it, and if it's worth it at the end. That's all. Like,
Do what makes you happy.
what makes people happy? They think that it's that. They think that's material things. They think it's a new car.
Dude, so speaking about happiness and what really is happiness, anyone who's watched Don Draper or Mad Men, there's a famous Kodak, roulette thing or what they were working on. He said, "What is happiness?" And the whole thing was like, happiness is only a moment before you need another moment of happiness. We're not walking around with a boner all the time. That's just the way happiness
It'd be
works.
happy initially, but then
It'd get annoying.
I'd be like, God damn.
Like ugh.
How am I gonna watch?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So, like I said, it's we all. I guess at the end of the day, we want to eat, fuck, love, and get loved. That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's in our.
Yeah. And talking about series, watch Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, yes.
As you were talking about Mad Men.
Yes.
Chernobyl's an awesome series on HBO. It's educational at the very least, which I guess that would probably turn a lot of people off because they don't like education.
They don't.
But it's a really good, intense series about what happened in Ukraine, in the Soviet Union, Ukraine, when the nuclear reactor exploded, and all the stuff, all the shit that they did to try to cover it up. It's pretty awesome, dude. I'm into that series. There's another episode left, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Definitely. So make education great again. How do we do that? Make it fun. That's what I mean. If education was great again, I think it'd be awesome.
If it were fun?
If we're fun. I know we just passed Teacher Day not too long ago, so for all my friends that are in teaching, you guys are overworked and underpaid, and believe me, I know a lot of us.
But then at the same time, education sucks in this country. So
you guys have a duty.
I appreciate what they do, but it's already like fundamentally flawed. So I hope that you do at least take more of an interest in the students and teaching them what's valuable and what they need in life, because a lot of the shit that we learn in school
doesn't apply in real life.
It's just repetition, it's just memorization, and doesn't really help us. Because, for example, I really strongly believe that personal finance should be taught in school.
People don't know how to write a check coming out of. Not that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
anymore.
but like that, for example, or mortgages, how mortgages work. Like you don't even learn that when you have a mortgage.
They do teach us compound interest, but I don't think they apply it correctly. they don't even talk about how compound interest messes you up, but it can work for you. See, they don't talk about that.
Yeah, and I was talking to a teacher recently, and she was telling about her training. Her training just comes down to like the training that she's getting as a teacher about those stupid exams that the kids continue to take.
Because that's how they get paid.
Because yeah, exactly, that's what it is. And she gets paid for that training, but how do the students benefit from it? They don't. So again, I appreciate that they want to teach and they want to teach kids. And I even understand the whole. Damn, we're almost out of time.
Yeah, so. Actually, maybe we can talk about
another
this.
Time.
So another time. Thank you very much. If you guys like it,
Cheers.
click like and subscribe. And again, we truly appreciate you guys' time that you guys play for us or give us. With that being said, you got anything else to say?
That's it.